Hi everyone, it's JP from the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, and firstly, thank you for coming back and listening to some of our earlier episodes. We really want to welcome you here. I do have to put out a disclaimer though that our audio quality on some of our earlier episodes is, well, it's a bit crap. It's just not up to scratch due to being noobs and messing up and basically getting microphone settings wrong, which you'll hear all about in episode 4. We've made the decision to keep these episodes in our list for continuity purposes, and it's important to remind ourselves how we started, but if the quality does put you off, don't worry, it's all good. Feel free to jump straight to episode 4 where it gets a lot better. And we'd love to have you join us and listen in. Thanks again, and more importantly, welcome to the group.
Done the teach and the reference cards have been handed out. It is of course Whose Turn Is It Anyway, the podcast focused all around the adventures of our gaming group. I'm JP, your current first player, and in this episode I'm joined by other players, Becky and Adrian, to talk about getting started in the hobby. How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
All good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Been up to anything exciting?
Well, did receive a really, really nice blingy upgrade wingspan.
I've heard about this. Not heard about it, I've seen them.
It's all your fault, so you can't blame anybody else.
All I've got to do for you to buy wooden meeply components is just comment on a Etsy store.
Look at this, yeah. And then me and Curly were on it, and then it was a kind of, oh, I was going to get the normal food. You've got to obviously get the nectar, and you're going to get you've got to get the birds as well. So it kind of rolled, and then.
So what games did you actually get them for?
Wingspan and the nectar and Arc Nova, and they're very cool. And
they're like little animal heads, so cubes.
Yeah,
right?
So you've got elephants, giraffes, some kind of feline, not sure which one, and gorillas. There you go. Yeah, jaguar. Yeah, jaguar and gorillas. Yeah, and nice. Lords of Waterdeep. So you've got 4 little characters, which I don't know because I haven't ever played Lords of Waterdeep.
Orange ones, the white ones, purple ones, and the black ones.
Yes,
that's the one.
That's it.
Clerics,
go on.
Clerics, rogues, fighters, and wizards, I think.
Sounds good. So everyone that was listening then was shouting at the microphone, I'm sure. But yeah, it's not
wizards, it's sorcerers. I don't know. It is wizards.
I think it's wizards. Yeah. I think they've named it on that one.
But they are very nice, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to getting and playing with those.
It's amazing what a wooden meeply component can do.
I'm easily pleased.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's kind of, that's my life really.
What about you, Adrian?
I mean, things are good. Haven't got a lot of gaming in, to be honest. But yeah, no, things are good. Been 3D printing lots of inserts for board games still.
Nice.
3D printer is literally smoking.
It's always on yours.
Mine is always on, literally always on.
I printed curtain hooks with mine the other day.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, because I just hung some new curtains and realised I didn't have any hooks. So instead of getting dressed and going into town, I 3D printed them. So
yeah, I think the only thing that I 3D printed that wasn't board game related was a Pokeball that has Switch game. You can put Switch games inside, and you open the Pokeball.
That's very cool.
That's kind of cool,
nice.
But that's for a friend of mine's.
I think me, generally the Kickstarter, one of the many Kickstarters has arrived. As we glance over to the corner of the room, there's a large cardboard box with punch-outs.
I can see the punch-outs, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my Perseverance Kickstarter arrived along with the Dracarion big box, and then I happened to have a delivery the same day, which is the Marvel Champions Sinister Motives campaign.
So the delivery guy thinking, what is going on?
What is the heft of this box?
The worst thing will be the recycling people who will be like, what is all this cardboard nonsense? What is all this?
They've got to be used to it by now.
That's true.
They must do like a twice a week pickup for your recycling just to get rid of all the boxes.
The money we're making off your house, the amount of cardboard that comes out of here, it's ridiculous. But now that's arrived. Yeah, I think I'll talk about that on another episode. But yeah, just organising any Mind Clash big box game is a feat upon itself. You need a separate book to tell you how to put the game away, just so you can play the game.
Wow,
but
that's asking
you
for
would
an
love
insert.
it.
Then. Oh, yeah, that's
got an insert.
Right,
it's all
mine.
Game trays or
whatever. Game trays, yeah, it's all there. It's just it's a joy. Nice. I think best 2.5 hours ever. But that's just me, and I ain't say it. There we go. Cool. Should we get into the first segment?
Let's go for it.
So, games to the table. it's been a fairly busy few game sessions have been going on lately, which is amazing. It's always good. So who's going to go first?
I'll go first, yeah, that's fine. So just a quick aside, I don't want to go on about it, seeing as the entire episode that you've done recently was about it, but I got my first game of Nemesis in. Woo! Fabulous, loved it, can totally understand what you were all going on about.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I think I won at the expense of someone else because we got a rule just a little bit wrong.
I'll take it, it's Nemesis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm counting it, I'm going to go with it and run. Yeah. But really loved it, that was good.
That was the Void Seeders, wasn't it? Yeah.
But the main event for me was getting Unfathomable to the table the first time. Unfortunately, you couldn't be there. It was sad times.
I do miss games every now and then. It's rare, but I do miss them.
So, we bought it quite a few weeks ago, but had yet to get it to the table. After lots of, not that much punching, was a bit disappointed.
What the punch game was like? It wasn't,
But, it's still fine. I've got the baggies and I did the organising, so, it wasn't complete rife, but it was really good. The game is beautiful. It was a really good excuse to get a really good playlist together. So I know this is speaking to your heart here, JP.
Absolutely.
So I went an extra step above this time. So I had 19 kind of 20s sort of lounge music. And I had like a sleep sounds app playing over the top with, I think it was airplane propellers, but they sort of sounded like a boat kind of chuggy sort of noise with a few bits of seagull and waves thrown in. So I thought it was brilliant. Curly's not really a massive fan,
Well, I mean, that is some effort.
I said, no. He's like, oh, did you do the playlist? I was like, yeah, I did the playlist. You're not going to be talked out of it. No, we're having it. I liked it.
I'm in your camp.
I think it added. I think that should be an episode in the future. Ways to bring your gaming experience up.
Yeah,
so if anyone's interested, I'll put all my playlists together and they can help themselves from Spotify. So there we go. So yeah, it is basically a reskin of Battlestar Galactica, which we've played before and loved.
Really good.
But that kind of went out of license, didn't it? So they decided to do a kind of Arkham world overlay.
Yeah, it's part of the Arkham Files universe from Fantasy Flight, isn't it? So it's just another, just another, that sounds really flippant, doesn't it? But it's just another one in their universe, basically.
Mr. Wibbles, Mr. Cthulhu, turns up, as he does in a lot of FFG games. Mr. Wibbles, he goes, ooh, it's Mr. Wibbles.
Mr. Zoidberg. The characters are drawn really beautifully. They're very inclusive and diverse, which I think is a really nice kind of... It just stops there being so many barriers to gaming, perhaps. And the artwork's beautiful. The board is beautiful. Plays really well, I think.
Is it a mechanical step up from BSG?
No, I think it's very similar. It's very similar. Okay. So it uses the same sort of stats as all the other. Well, I say all the other. I've only played Mansions of Madness. So you've got strength. Will, law, there's similar kind of stats that you get.
Checks,
And you draw your cards and you spend them secretly to either make the test work or to sabotage the test. So it's a kind of a hidden
traitor.
Yeah. I was a traitor right from the off, which is quite nice. So I was trying to do like a secret, like eye wink at Ian, who was also one of the traitors, but I couldn't do it because the people that were near me would totally have.
Did you just think you had something in your eye?
Perhaps if I had some kind of weird twitch or something. But it was, we very kind of quickly got into it, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it, and would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, love BSG. I love the kind of Arkham universe anyway. So, I was just interested to see if mechanically they tweaked anything or did something different with it. I heard they did something with the ending, or the way the ending works, but maybe, I don't know.
It's the cultists, isn't
it? So you've got, in Battlestar Galactica, which we'll just shorten to BSG because it's quicker, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got Cylons and humans. So you've got the humans, which are regular people, and the Cylons who sometimes think they're human but actually turn out they're not, and they are trying to sabotage the mission. So in this game you've got hybrids and humans, so we still call them Cylons because we just couldn't get out of that habit. But you've also got a second baddie called a cultist who wants to sabotage the mission, but only when it's close enough to the end of the mission that they could potentially swim for safety.
Sure. It replaces the sympathizer sort of thing where you get low on food or whatever, and so you have cultists instead of sympathizers.
But
I've heard good stuff.
It works. We didn't play it with that character in this time because we thought, well, it's our first game. We didn't play the most basic version where they tell you what characters to play, but we, but it was really good. We really enjoyed it. The game took a long time, but I think that's because quite a few of us hadn't seen each other for a little while, so there was a lot of non-board game related chit chat. And one of our members has got a very cute dog, and we all spent time playing with the dog.
Yeah, saw the photos.
Yeah, so yeah, Poppy kind of took a lot of the attention away, I think.
Yeah, whose turn is it? Poppy's turn.
Yeah.
Dog. Can we go on with it?
Yeah, it was really good. Would recommend.
Brilliant. Nice one. Okay. Adrian, what about you, mate?
So I've been playing Railroad Inc. quite a bit recently, the last week or so. Been playing it quite a bit solo. It's one of the very few solo games I have. It's a roll and write. You get a grid and you have some roads and tracks that lead onto that grid. You roll your dice. They have roads and tracks on, and you lay them out in a nice pattern, and you try and connect as many of the roads and railways as you can, and you score the most points in like 6 rounds of rolling dice. For me, I think it does what some people have with like Sudoku and crosswords.
I was just about to say that sounds really similar to that kind of.
100% agree with your analogy.
Yeah, you just roll some dice, you draw your little roads and that on there, and if you get a great score or you get a nice setup of your roads, you feel happy, right? You feel happy that you've achieved it. You don't need to worry about high scores necessarily if you're playing on your own. You're just like, oh, that works out really well doing it that way. I'll play another game. It's taken me 5 minutes to play one game.
Isn't it though? You roll some dice, swear because the bloody double curved roads appeared or the double tracks appeared, and go, where's that going to fit? And then navigate around it. That's just my experience.
Yeah, maybe. I tend to find it's the last round or second to last round. You're like, come on, all I need is a straight track, and I get to join up all these pieces and get a really high score, and it looks really satisfying, and all I've done is roll roads.
Is it an expensive game? Is it?
No, it's like £15. Okay. So I've got Blue, which was one of the original set. Since then, they brought out the Challenge series, which makes it, if you're playing it with others, makes it a little bit more interactive.
Okay.
You've got sort of achievements of the first one to connect 6 roads together. Okay. Gets extra points. But I play it mostly solo. I don't think it will be... Challenge may have changed it, but as a roll and write, as a group activity, I don't think there's much to it. I think it's great solo.
I guess, could you play against someone else? Not together, but I've scored whatever.
Yeah.
and then their best score or whatever.
That's technically the way the game works, but there is no interaction whatsoever in the base games. Challenge adds a little bit, and I think it might add just enough to get a couple of people playing it.
Okay.
But the base game alone, for me, it's a solo game. I think it's a great solo game. I play very few of them. And quite often, if I'm on holiday or if I have a few days where, like, at breakfast or dinner or whatever, just roll some dice and just have a bit of a relax.
Like you said, when you might do like a Sunday morning crossword or whatever.
It literally replaces that pastime for me. I'm not really a Sudoku or a crossword or anything like that kind of person, but I'll quite happily crack through 5-6 games of Railroad Inc. in an afternoon.
Wonder if there's an app for that.
There is.
Well, there we go. I've just answered. Excellent. Right, I know what I'm downloading later.
I'm sure there's lots of in-app purchases of all the different expansion dice you can get.
Well,
they've not released those yet.
Well, you sold it to me.
I think it's fantastic. If you don't get on with solo games much like I do, I think it fills that nice little 15 minutes of
coffee break sort of
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the setup's like there isn't a setup.
There isn't a setup.
Just open it up and roll dice. That's it. You're offline.
Perfect.
There you go. Cool.
Yourself?
Yeah. Me? Yeah, I managed to get your favourite Adrian, Cloudspire, to the table. He laughs because he hates it. No, I've been on this personal quest to get Cloudspire just to the table against people.
Okay. Do you play? So I haven't played this game, so I can be the stooge for the audience. What's
So Cloudspire is another chip theory games. So more neoprene and poker chips. Woohoo! Just because I haven't got enough.
No, that's what I was going to say. That's missing in your life.
Missing in my life. Yeah. And there's more of it apparently in a different game. But no, it's essentially modelled after what they call a MOBA. And I'm going to get the acronym wrong, isn't it? Like Mobile Online Battle Arena or something like that. And cross between tower defence.
Wait a minute, is this a game?
Like League of Legends. Again, never played it because that's what the cool kids play. Apparently.
Oh, well, we can't play that.
No,
can't play that in our group.
So essentially, you've got these factions, and they've all got kind of heroes and minions, and then you've got these spires, which are these towers that you can build, and you essentially build your army. You invest all your kind of points, and you set them off. Your little children off they go, and attack the other ones. It all clashes in the kind of middle and along the sides, and the idea is just trying to take the other faction down. But it's kind of very strategic. A lot of things going on. Being ship theory is about 1,000,001 keywords that you've got to understand.
Right. So the rule book is a tome. Then.
It's just there's a lot going on in it, and the barrier to entry is steep. Like it's very steep, and it warrants a lot of plays just to even get your head around your faction, let alone the opponent's faction. Going, how did you do that? I didn't know this pale keyword existed. So it's just one of them. I love it. I play it a lot solo just because
no one else wants to play it.
No one else wants to play it. That's the real reason. But I do actually enjoy the solo game of it because it plays different to PvP because it's a puzzle. So it's set up and actually teaches you the factions and how to lean into certain aspects of those factions to win the puzzle. I've been enjoying those kind of scenarios, and I've got 12 scenarios in, which is a lot of hours worth of effort. But the reason why I'm happy is I managed to get a game of it with somebody who enjoyed it.
Hey, who's
so there you go. There's a chap called Ben, and he's part of the gaming rules crew that I kind of socialise with.
Your other group,
my other group,
friends.
Sorry, team. But no, he's a big chip theory nut as well, and he's interested to try it out. So he came round on Wednesday. I played Grove Tenders, the one you played. Yeah. Never played Grove Tenders before, so I was floundering and didn't know what I was doing. And he was playing Brawnen, which is usually the faction I give to newbies. And so, I made sure that he had a good time and really just said, look, think about this is how you can decimate me. And he got to the point where he just killed me. So I think I took my eye off my ball, and he just completely killed me in wave 4. So, but no, it's just good to go to the table. So I always enjoy it. So, yes.
What is it about Plateau that you don't like?
All of it.
The keyword thing is an issue. Every faction basically gets an A4 document. One side of it has all of the upgrades you can purchase, just full of text.
Okay.
Which is like, what, 15?
15, something like that, special rules, and you've got to choose which tech tree almost you want to go down.
Okay.
And the other
side, tech tree,
and then the other side of it has all the special rules for all the minions and stuff you'll play.
Just yours.
So, and that's just your faction, and every faction is different.
Because you're normally quite sort of involved in the rules and know them quite well, so I'm surprised that this isn't
that isn't the biggest problem. It is a problem. It is a barrier to entry, I think, for that game. But I think if I could see more in the game, I would absolutely just go through those keywords and be fine with it. My issue is the fact that, as you've kind of said, it's a tower defense game. So essentially, at the beginning of your turn, you point to someone else's tower, and all your minions are kind of on rails towards that tower.
Right.
And I think they've done their best with that kind of game to put decision-making into it, but I don't think it's enough immediacy of decision-making for my personal preference. Okay. I think there are examples of games I like where that would go against that, being a bit hypocritical. But for the most part, I think it just lacks a lot of decision-making.
Okay.
Your decision is, I'm building these units, and I'm building these towers, and I'm heading at you. And for me, that was 90% of the decision-making in a 3-hour game.
Oh, okay. So interaction is not...
I felt like there was so much to learn for a game that had a very small decision-making. Now, I think if you get good at it and if you really enjoyed it, there would be more to it and you would find those levels of decision-making.
Oh, okay, okay.
100%. I'm not saying I'm good at it, because I'm not. But, yeah, there are things that you can be doing once you really know the game inside out, that you can kind of manipulate the landscape of which, how the units move, and you can manipulate their movement to slow them down, speed them up. Okay. But you're right, if you don't like things being on rails as such, you're probably not going to enjoy it.
It doesn't sound like a game for me.
No, I don't think it's a game for you, Becky.
Simply because the learn sounds
It's
quite
a cliff.
onerous.
The learn is, I must have watched 4 or 5 videos beforehand just to learn the one faction I wanted to play.
See, I need a 4 or 5 minute,
Yeah.
and I need to know most of it in that. I'm happy to then carry on a bit more. No, that does not sound. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But it doesn't sound like one for me.
No, that's fair. It's not one for many people, but you know, we've all got some of those games in our collection.
Absolutely, we all have. It wouldn't be much fun if there wasn't there'd be 14 games out there that everyone likes and nothing for anyone else.
So that's me. I mean, to kind of round it off, we all attended the same event, didn't we? Which is the Crokinole night.
Yay, the Crokinole!
Great fun. So we had 3 boards?
Yeah.
3 boards,
3 boards on a two stable, 1 on a wobbly table,
which is now fixed. Chris has fixed it.
Chris has now immediately fixed this wobbly table, which was, just for those who are listening, so it was a camping table perched on 2 wooden beams,
2x4s,
It worked.
One of the legs kept going.
Yeah, when you kind of lean on it with your elbows, that it did not work.
It's when you're doing your shot and then suddenly it bangs to the left. And I'm like,
well, it worked in my benefit at one point because I was having to shoot slightly uphill, which actually is quite helpful. Yeah.
In those 20s. But no, it was just really good to hang out, wasn't it? And we do have the UK Crokinole Championship. I think I mentioned on every episode so far. So we, in the show notes,
sell those tickets.
We will have the link in the show notes for sure. If you're interested in it, like you said, check it out. And if not, just come round to the tournament anyway. Say hello, because I think most of us are going to be there, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure we'll all be in our branded apparel by then.
Oh, yeah.
Which Chris is kindly sorting out for us, bless him. So yeah, if not, come say hi, take the mick out of us, whatever.
Why are you so rubbish at Crokinole? You've owned a board for years. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting.
You keep talking about it, expect it to be good, but we're not. But no, we enjoy playing it, don't we? Cool. So I think that's it, right? That's what's hit the table so far. Great. So it's time for our main event, and today it's all about getting started in the hobby and kind of everything in between. So I think the first question to ask is why. So why should people get into this hobby? What's so good about tabletop board gaming? There we go, throwing it to the table.
It's so diverse. There is something for everyone, I think. Even people that don't like it or don't realise they like it yet. That's my opinion on it anyway.
Okay. So diverse in what way? As in, there's
so many games out there. There's so many different types of games. There's so many tie-ins with things. There is something for even the most reluctant, miserable curmudgeon. They'll find something that they like.
I thought that's how I did that out then. No,
I'm trying to reduce the foul language. Miserable curmudgeon was the best I could think of.
Yeah, tagline, I think.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. There's so much out there now. When I got into board gaming, it was a fairly narrow field. Yeah. There wasn't many IP tie-ins or anything like that.
Intellectual property for people that don't know what that is. I didn't know what that was until really recently, so I'm
fair play.
Called out, yeah. And I think because of that, there's now something for everyone, and hobbies are just good for people, right? Whether we're talking about board gamings or not, or what.
Absolutely.
Having a hobby just gives you something to do, gives you time away from work, time with family, time with friends.
And the more you think you haven't got time for a hobby, that's probably the more you should have one, because you're clearly not stopping.
Balance is not right.
Which is easy for me to say with no children and, time's my own. However...
It's easy for me to say I have children. I don't think I've got the balance right either. It's probably not too far the other way.
But I think, if you think, I couldn't possibly fit in any kind of game, you really need to start doing, something. Like that railroad thing sounds really good for that. If you've only got 15 minutes, great.
Yeah.
Play a bit of Yahtzee or Boggle or any of the really quick...
It's escapism, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, Adrian, it's escapism from... Not like you need to escape from your life, but sometimes you need to escape from your life. I think for your mental health, that's massively important. So with people that I think that don't have any hobbies, and it doesn't have to be board gaming, does it? That's the thing. It can be anything. It could be knitting. It could be I can't think of anything else other than board gaming.
I collect hobbies. I collect hobbies. That is my hobby. So I am the perfect all the gear, no idea person.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that's hobby.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's just important, isn't it? It's just having that time for you, doing something you really enjoy, that you're passionate about, and that you could just lose yourself in.
But it's also a good way of being interactive if maybe you're a bit solo at work, or even if you're not, even if you're surrounded by tons of people that you wouldn't choose to socialise with. It's a really good way. When I had the dreaded coronavirus the other week, the thing that made me the saddest was not being able to meet up. I sound really sad when I say it, but it was not being able to play games with you guys. And I really, really missed that.
Yeah,
I've not played that many games that much, that long as you guys have. And I just really want to play something.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I'm personally a massive introvert. I think it's a bit of a stereotype to say introverts are board gamers, but I know plenty of extroverts that are also board gamers.
Hello.
Yeah, well, this is it. But for me, the idea of going to a pub or going somewhere and just dealing with small talk is boring.
Yeah.
And a waste of my time and energy.
Yeah.
To me personally, putting an activity in front of you where you get to do the social, you get to talk about life, you get to interact with people, and having a task at hand, having something
that's absolutely
to frame it round, I think is brilliant. Like say someone like me who's introvert, or if you have social anxiety or anything like that, it gives you a way to focus on something and not worried about the fact necessarily that you're socialising, or maybe just getting rid of that small talk part.
Yeah,
that I really dislike.
Small talk isn't there.
It doesn't need to be in there.
But you do have to interact.
But you have to interact, and as you kind of sort of alluded to before, is during downtime, you will quite happily talk about whatever's going on in between turns. You get that interactivity, but your brain is still doing the thinking of, wonder what happens if they take the workplace place before I get it, sort of thing. And you kind of get that mix of two things, right? You're doing something cool and something that's working your brain, and you're interacting with someone.
Is it a bit like that anxiety of, going on your first date and then you got to kind of think...
I've never been on a date, mate. Not once in my life. Never ever. So I couldn't possibly say.
I'm trying to understand it because I'm not introverted. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to get my head into that kind of mode and think, is it that kind of thing where you're trying to think, I need to hold a conversation, or I need to talk about things so I can continue, so it's just not awkward. And when it gets awkward, it's like, oh, now what do I say? And I can't be bothered.
Oh, why am I on so long and gangly? And then you suddenly turn a bit. Yeah, absolutely.
I just genuine question from an extrovert to an introvert, I suppose.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of mix up there between introversion and social anxiety.
Fair enough.
Someone who has had anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that, there can definitely become a fear of leaving the front door.
Right, yeah.
That is that then social anxiety part. I think the difference, and it can be great to have something where you're not pressured into socialising, and perhaps you, look, if I like Carcassonne, I can play Carcassonne against you, I can play Carcassonne against someone else.
Mm-hmm.
There may be differences in it, but it's ultimately the game you can focus on, and it helps rid you of those anxieties.
Yeah.
And I think that can be really strong for someone who does have social anxiety or panic attacks or anything like that, getting through that. I think from an introversion point of view, it is just that. I don't have to deal with standard small talk, talking about what was on Coronation Street if you're in England, or Jersey Shore if you're in America, perhaps. Yeah. It's, you don't have to worry about any of that potentially coming. It might come up, if your group's into all that, like different TV shows or whatever, but for the most part, you can then decide to maybe tune out a little bit without appearing rude or whatever, absolutely. And you can just sort of go, no, I'm focusing on the game at this point. And it helps balance that energy that if you're extroverted, you get your energy from people.
Yes.
If you're introverted, you get your energy from being alone, and you spend more energy from being around people. Yeah. And I found that playing board games as an introvert reduces the cost of energy, if you want to look at it that way.
That's a very board game way of looking at it.
Yeah, it is that, but it is that.
I've heard that before, though. Yeah, that's kind of how it is.
It costs me less energy to be around people if I've got a board game to focus on a third of the time, half the time, 2/3 of the time. And so, so there is that thing as an introvert point of view, that does help to have an activity. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, again, unlike you, I collected hobbies at one point, like it was a hobby. And having an activity or a hobby or something to focus on while you're interacting with people helps, I think, in that sense.
Yeah.
It's really good. But I think, like, my why is the social. Like, say, I'm extroverted, so it is about getting around the table with people. I think without this hobby, I might mention it on a previous episode, I didn't really have much of a social life. But yeah, and this is what's helped me get it.
I see more of you guys than I do of any of my other groups of friends, I suppose. And I guess for you, working sort of more solitary is a really good way of having a group of people. So my job isn't like that. I work with a lot of people all the time and it's constant social interaction. So for me, I think board games are more the puzzle, the kind of, which would make you think I'd be better at them, wouldn't you? Because I'd be sitting there thinking, but that doesn't necessarily go together. I really like am I doing this the most efficient way? Have I solved the puzzle of it? And I think that's really fun and mentally challenging, but not too. You haven't got to invest. Too many bones if you've invested a huge amount, but you haven't got to invest.
That's just money.
You haven't got to invest a lot of stuff. You haven't got to have a lot of kit. All right, maybe you need a big enough table.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that it's that the first hit is free in board games.
Absolutely.
Is if you either enjoy your first few games and you'll just it will envelop your wallet and your shelf space and all that lot, or you might just go a bit cold on it, and again, it can be the wrong game, or it can be maybe that you just can't get these games to the table enough, or whatever it is. It may not be a thing for you, but I guarantee, as you kind of said, there is at least one game out there. There's no way of testing this, but I'm pretty sure there's one game out there for everyone.
There has to be.
Definitely.
It's a bit like saying, there's definitely life out there, and there's planets and stars that are out there. There has to be, anyway. Apologies if you don't believe in that, but I do. So there you go. But
You're your first player today, so what you say goes, right?
Exactly. I'm the bloody rule master. So listen. No, it's completely true. The amount of games. I mean, I don't know how many games are listed on Board Game Geek, which is the online database.
When you say that the top 1,000 games is an indicator of good games, like if it's
and they're not shonky, they're good.
If they're in the top 1,000, the likelihood is that they're pretty good. That tells you then how many games there are out there that are maybe not so good. I'm not saying any outside the top 1,000 are bad. I'm just saying that you can quite firmly say that most of the games in the top 1,000 are considered good by multiple people.
They're popular, aren't they? They have been enjoyed by lots of people. I think that segues us really nicely into the kind of second thing we were talking about, which is getting other people involved. There is something out there for everyone. I think it really depends what your kind of modus operandi is for getting these people involved. So usually it's, I want my partner to play, or my sister, or someone I live with, or the people around me, I'm really passionate about this. I want them to like it too and not mock me for playing board games, perhaps. So that's going to be a different reason than if, say, you want your partner to play because you want to spend time with them, or you want to justify the money you're spending, or, that kind of thing. So I think the reasons trying to get people in really change how you should try and lure them. But JP's the best to talk about this because he's lured us all. So
or by design or by pure chance. No, it's definitely by design. But no, it's kind of like you said. Is it for you or is it for your group? So it's kind of like there isn't a standard list of games that you can go, right, play these and you're guaranteed to have a success, and they'll play them and then suddenly be in your gaming group, because it doesn't work like that. It's you have to, if you're doing it for other people, you have to kind of curate the games for those people to get the best chance of success. It still doesn't always work.
Show them the correct ones and they'll see the light, right?
But versus, what you might find personally interesting, it's a completely different list, right?
Yeah, but if you're getting these people into it, there's a good chance, unless it's just blindly like putting out there, fancy starting a gaming group, which we talked about in the previous podcast, but assuming you're getting into people into gaming that you will probably know what they will like. If they like Harry Potter, because we've talked about that before, there are 6, 7, 8 games that I can think of off the top of my head that have Harry Potter theme. Whether it's the battle game, whether it's the Dark Arts, the House Cup, the Death Eaters Rising. There's a new Quidditch game about to come out that I've kickstarted. Yay!
And there's even little kind of simple like Go Fish kind of games.
It's the miniatures game.
There's the miniatures game. There's the code names version of Harry Potter. There's loads out there.
There we go. That's a million. That's just off the top of our head. But if you're trying to capture a very young kind of person into board gaming, and they like that kind of stuff, you just got
to do that bit of research to work out what it is you're getting them into, and that can be harder if it's you trying to get into it, right? If I like Harry Potter, I've never played a board game before, and I walk into like Waterstones occasionally has like those kind of games in it and all that kind of stuff. If I walk into Waterstones or a game or whatever, let alone a board game shop, you can be confronted with a load of board games. It's like, well, which one of these do I like?
Yeah, doing your research, I think, with that really helps.
Doing your research, there's plenty of articles out there. YouTube is full of reviews, how to play. You can go out there and find which games look like. Not only do I like the IP, or not only does that interest me, but also the mechanics or the weight of game, the type of game interests me as well, and you can get into it. And it's just, say, if it's you getting into it, you just need to do the bit of research yourself. If it's you getting other people in, there's probably a good chance you've got a bit of knowledge there already, and you just need to think about it a bit. What's going to get those people into that game?
I think the people that like Christmas time board game type things, like Articulate or but I can imagine maybe introverts perhaps not liking that so much because it's all about gabbing on. I love it. I love it. That's it's one of my favourite games. Although me and Curly were banned from being in a team together because
you can hive mind, really.
Yeah, because you can use a lot of the. We do like a rule switch, a rule sort of kind of tweak where you try to get your other team member to guess the word before the other people, and if you know your partner inside out, you can say that thing we watched last Tuesday, and then you can kind of cheat, and that's no good. But if someone likes that kind of party game element, then you can maybe build on that. Like Code Word you mentioned was a really good Codenames. Sorry, it's a really good. It's a party game. But it's starting to use that kind of deduction kind of thing. Another like basic stuff like Uno, for example. Card games are really accepted. No one bats an eye if you say you were playing card games last night. So I think
especially
exactly. This is
it's probably in most households.
Absolutely. So if people like playing that, you can probably build on that and then kind of. Oh, well, there's other games that we play that are like cooperative ones, like Mansions of Madness. So I've got a couple of friends who she's very competitive, but I didn't think she'd really want to get involved in big, crunchy games. So Mansions of Madness is perfect for her because you win or lose together, but it's still a story. Yeah. So it's very inclusive and easy access, isn't it? If you've got the stuff and you've got the app or whatever.
I think this moves quite nicely onto another point as well, is that themed games can quite often be easier to get people into because you tell a story, whether it is mechanical and crunchy or whether it's not. Saying to someone, okay, look, we're going into a mansion where there's going to be loads of crazy stuff going on. Just do what you think is the best choice. Yeah. Knowing that you're the person who likes to hit things, or knowing that you're the person that likes to solve, puzzle solve, or whatever it is that character does, you can just story tell that, and that's quite easy to get somebody else into that game. And I tend to find those kind of games are what I think the industry generally calls gateway games. Or
it really is, and it definitely worked for me. I think Carcassonne and Settlers of Catan. So when
the classic,
so I mean, board gaming for me was really about me and Curly trying to spend more time together because we both have very singular hobbies. So I like handicrafts and modelling and making things and that sort of stuff. He plays a lot of PC games, so we wanted something that we could do together. And I think probably a lot of people are in that kind of, they don't want to just sit in front of the TV watching, pick your random TV program, whatever. So knowing that he's really good at guessing the kind of games I like. So I'm not really into the kind of fighty, combative, that sort of thing. So Carcassonne was great. I think I've only played it once, but that was enough to get me interested.
It is a great game.
Exactly that. Yeah, I mean, it was the same with Catan. We played it one time. It helps that I got a thing. I can't even remember how you play it now, but I won because I managed to get the thing that stopped him getting anything else.
The robber, was it?
I honestly can't remember. Really can't remember. But I'm not saying I have to win a game to then like it. But I think it does help. I think so. If you're trying to get someone involved and interested, make it something that they at least have a chance of winning.
Accessible.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that people try and get someone to play a game by, let's just watch this half an hour YouTube video first then, which is what I realise I need to do in order to enjoy a game the first time. But it most certainly would have been a barrier to, I have to sit and watch this thing before I even play a thing that I don't even want to do. This is not going to be.
It's a bit like I was away last weekend in the caravan, just with, not my own, because I'd just be a bit weird, but no, with family and friends' family, and took a load of travel kind of light games, and I'd have said, right, everyone, we're about to play this game. Can you all phone up and do a 30-minute YouTube video beforehand. They were just laughing out.
You just check out. You're just completely not invested instantly, and this is a chore. Yeah. It's meant to be a game. It's meant to. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be playing.
Exactly. And then in that instance, I took Love Letter.
That's a great one.
Which is just an easy game to teach. I can teach it in like 2 minutes, if that, and you get people playing. Yeah. And then suddenly, people get it. And generally have a good time. Saboteur was the other one. I went down a storm, and I got people that hate games playing Saboteur, which
it's just really easy cards.
Just really easy. Again, Lightning Fast talked about it before. And the other one that surprised me actually was King of New York. Well, I've got the King of New York version, but the King of Tokyo is the probably the simpler version of it. And that's like, again, you try and explain to people, right, it's basically you're like King Kong and you duke it out with like Godzilla and in Tokyo or New York and you're trying to get fame and stuff.
It's Yahtzee with hit points, isn't it, basically? I've taught that game a lot of times and to a lot of different age groups, and I've played it with a lot of different age groups and different sizes of people, and I've never failed to teach it and someone get it within, right, I'll tell you what, I'll take the first turn, let me show you the dice. Okay, what I could do here is I could get this for points, could get that for energy, health,
or smacking
other monsters. But I'm going to do this, quickly talk through my first turn, hand the dice round, and normally I've seen the entire table has got it. It is such a simple game. It can be a bit cutthroat, but I think that gives it some life if you've got like a lot of young kids and they're all going to start knocking each other out.
I've had tears over that.
Yeah, you can absolutely have tears because I've seen it myself when I cried about being knocked out, but with other people. But it was on my list of short list of games that I would recommend of getting people in because, as you say, the rule book is like 6 A4 pages long, and I don't know how they've managed that.
It's not that complicated.
But the teach is less than 2 or 3 minutes, and it's so much fun and so easy to understand. If you've played any kind of Yahtzee or dice game like that, where you're just trying to get...
And if you like big, chunky green or black and green dice, and they're chunky, and you're just rolling these 6 dice. Oh, it's great.
We have played that. I thought I haven't played this, and then we played it when we went to the con.
Yeah,
we
did.
Didn't we? Yes, I remember it now.
Tabletop Gaming Live before the Rona. What else have we got?
Okay, well, if we're going to go through gateway games...
Why not? Let's just throw them out.
Like that. So
quick fire.
I had a couple of different ideas over, am I getting myself into it? Am I recommending, if you've randomly listened to this podcast, because it's shown up on an algorithm somewhere, you've listened you've listened to it by accident, what am I recommending you? Yeah. And the other list I had was, what am I recommending to teach to other people?
Yeah.
So the list of... There's just a few on there of what am I teaching myself. My first thought was the rule book. If I open a box and it's got a 20-page rule book in it, and it's my first ever board game, I'm probably putting the lid back on the box and sliding it off the table.
It's like instruction manuals. They're there, as, in my opinion, as like a guideline later if it hasn't worked out.
I'm with you, but not on board games. I'm like, rule book.
I'm quite happy to read complex rule books and try and understand them, and I'll even set up the board game on the table. And
that's now, though.
But that's now. Like I've been in the hobby for years, and so I've got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are new, I think the two that stood out to me that have that short rule book that are quite easy to get into, that have a level of decision making. First one is Century, either Spice Road or Gollum Edition. They're the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Literally pick whichever one looks best to you. One, which I got, was Gollum Edition, is shiny, anime-esque sort of artwork. Yep. Big, chunky, see-through gems.
Oh, why did I pick Spice Road then? It sounds great.
Or the other one, which looks awful.
No, and the other one is just, it's trading spices. The artwork's a bit more sort of painterly, if you want to think about it that way, a bit more traditional. You've got little coloured cubes. There's probably a bit more of a theme on it because you're actually trading spices rather than just collecting gems and trading them in for golems, maybe? I can't work out what the theme is on the reskin. It just looks beautiful and I bought it for that. It's essentially a hand builder. You're either buying a card, you're playing a card to make gems better or getting gems, or you're then trading those gems in for a golem. And that is pretty much the entire game in a nutshell. It's not overly difficult, and after a few plays, the game lasts, half an hour?
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, if that,
Quick.
After a few games, you'll absolutely have it down and you'll be looking out for certain combos, or you'll be looking at the cards for purchase and you're like, well, that's not very good, that's brilliant, I'll have that sort of thing. The other one was Baron Park.
Oh, the bear
The bears, right? Which
haven't played this.
The name is a little bit perhaps pretentious because it's in German, and therefore it's a bit like if in an English market, if you look at a game with a German name on it, you might kind of be put off. It's basically like it's a tile placement game. It's just Tetris with bears.
I'm liking the sound of that.
So
animals again.
Yeah,
the cute stuff. I'm for it.
You've got your little zoo. You've got a grid. You cover up. You have a handful of starting tiles. You cover up different tiles. You get other tiles with bears on, or like the restaurant section or whatever, and you just keep putting them down until you've made whatever it is to score the most. Because they'll be different. Like this game, it's whoever gets the most pandas down, or whoever gets 3 lots of pandas down first gets the top tile. Whoever does it second gets the next tile. It's worth less points. And then if you finish one of your squares, there's like 4 squares you can get, like of big squares, of little squares of a grid. If you finish off a big square, then you get a little bear statue to put in the middle of the board, and they're worth points.
I'm liking the sound of this.
You can literally teach it as, okay, here's the 4 squares you can cover them up, get your little tile, put it on the board. You've played Patchwork, I believe.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Patchwork.
Okay. It's got bears. Patchwork doesn't have bears.
Just about a quilt.
And again, it's 3 sides of an A4 with the special rules of extra scoring points.
Yeah.
Really simple, really easy to read and understand. So if I'm getting myself into it, those are the 2 games that I'd probably recommend you pick up. Give them a try. There's plenty of others out there. Just my personal thoughts on what I get to the table, what I love, what I like teaching to the new players. If I'm teaching other people, my first thought is always Pandemic, because my first thought of most board games is probably Pandemic.
And it's one of your favourites.
It's just my favourite. It's just one of my favourites, but it's a co-op game that is understandable. It has a little bit of theme. It doesn't take too much to teach, and because it's co-op, you probably could drift heavily into alpha gaming, which is where you start taking other people's turns.
Yeah, that happened to us when we played it.
Yeah, and I occasionally drift into that by accident. I have to remind myself and be like,
Bad Adrian.
But when you're teaching the game to others and they're like, oh, I'm really not sure what to do here, you can just explain the options to them. You don't feel like you're pandering to them or anything. Like that, you're all on the same side. And after half a game, they're playing their own turns, like even if they really didn't get it to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Depends what like with my friend who I know that she wants to play games because she enjoys the fun aspect. We played Chameleon, which is a very simple party game. One person is a hidden know nothing. They don't have the special key to unlock the puzzle.
Right.
And then you're relying on
blagging it.
It's a brilliant game. It's a blaggers game. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
She got that and enjoyed it, and it's really fun. It does suffer from the same thing as Avalon, but only for maybe 2 minutes because each round is very quick.
Oh, he's over.
If you have got the I don't know what the actual word is card and it's your first go, you're really floundering in the dark. Yeah. But it's going to be over in 2 minutes. I think for me, that's what I needed getting into board games. Something that, I can't lie, it's still what I like doing now. If turns take too long, if you've got to do a lot of investing your time, and it's just right off already.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing I would suggest to people. Make the turns quick. Make it something that if it all goes wrong, you've only wasted half an hour.
Yep.
Rather than setting up a ginormous table of who knows what game.
Of colour and cardboard.
Yeah.
I think that all of this advice potentially goes out the window if you know someone just loves an IP. The reason why I think
Star Wars.
Well, the reason why I think Zombicide was so well timed, right? Walking Dead was 3 seasons in, 2 seasons in, something like that. Everyone was loving this idea of The Walking Dead, and someone went, here's a fairly simple dungeon crawler style game where we're all working on the same side, so I can absolutely teach you what's going on.
Yeah. And
we're just shooting zombies. You can get your head around it, right? And so if someone likes zombies or likes The Walking Dead, Zombicide, why not? It wouldn't. If I was teaching it to myself and I saw this 40-page rule book, maybe it would put me off, but maybe it wouldn't because I love zombies and these are cool models.
Yeah.
And there's about 1,000 of them on the board at once.
Yeah. But if you're teaching someone else, I don't think it does take it off the table. I think it is a pretty safe bet to say if someone likes zombies, stick Zombicide on the table because it's easy to teach. And I do think there is a bit of get out of jail free with co-op games in the fact of if they're not getting it, you can help them for a few turns.
This is it, and I think
you've just got to judge when to take your foot off the pedal of that and let them have their own space to do it.
So there you go. I think we've talked about quite a few different options there. Yeah. Knowing thy gamer or potential gamer is the important piece of the puzzle, and create the games you think they'll enjoy. Try it out, see what happens. If it doesn't work so well, try again if they want to. Hopefully we've given you some food for thought and some options there. So there we go. I think it's time for some questions. So we got another question in the fake mailbag that does not exist, and we've got it from Stuart Enu, who asks us, during the recent mass incarceration, did anyone turn to online tabletop gaming, and how did they find it? He goes on to say, for him, whilst Tabletop Simulator and Steam games were good quality, he found that any game where you really need to see the whole board or easily see what cards and tokens your opponents had made the game less enjoyable. So
yeah, I'll go first. My first introduction to Tabletop Simulator was during lockdown. I hadn't really touched it before. I'd touched gaming apps and stuff like that before, and there's some great ones of that out there. But Tabletop Simulator, my first one was Whitehall Mystery. So it's an invisible person, Jack the Ripper, that you're chasing around the board as policeman.
Like Fury of Dracula.
Yeah, like a Fury of Dracula or something like that. I managed to pick it up in real life, and we tried to do this thing where I had this elaborate camera rig up and I tried to do it over Skype essentially or whatever. Didn't work. We then turned to Tabletop Simulator. It was just fiddly. I'll be honest with you, I didn't enjoy it. I'd potentially give it another go, but I was grateful in lockdown we were able to form a bubble, as they called it.
Yeah.
And we were able to meet another household.
Yeah.
Living on my own, I got to meet up with another household, and I specifically chose gamers so that I could get games in every week, in all honesty, and that was kind of my way through.
I had to choose my family.
I didn't.
I had to work through all of it, so there we go.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah,
key worker.
I didn't take to Tabletop Simulator personally. I know other gaming groups that I talk to regularly. They played through a whole host of Euro games pretty much over lockdown, over Tabletop Simulator. They liked it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, fair.
I think if you've already played the game before, and so has the other person, and you already know what the tabletop version looks like, using a virtual one can work really well. So it wasn't during lockdown, but I've started to play Wingspan on Steam. And because I already know how it works, that's fine. If I had never seen Wingspan before, it would not have been a way in which I would want to learn or play Wingspan ever, because it's just not the same, is it? That said, things like Jackbox Gaming, which is, for people who don't know, like party games, basically really quick party games.
Online party games.
Yeah.
You get a few in the box, don't you?
And there's, code names is on there, but other stuff like it's kind of quizzy and kind of other stuff like that. I think actually that's a really good way of breaking people into the board gaming kind of world. I wonder how many people who had never given board games a second thought or just assumed it was Monopoly. I wonder how many of those have gone, oh, actually, do you know what? Maybe there is something out there that I might quite like, because I think actually it's a really good way of breaking people into it.
Yeah. We did a lot of Jackbox, didn't we? We played Drawful.
Oh, that was just hilarious. Hilarious.
Because we're really mature.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Just led to many hilarity, but there we go. I think for me, I learned Barrage online, which is not an easy game to kind of pick up.
One.
No, it's basically you building dams and stealing other people's water. It's quite cutthroat.
Okay.
But it's quite a heavy, mid to heavy-ish Euro game, and learned it completely online using TTS, Tabletop Simulator. And once we got through it, which was a bit of a slog, it was fine. Like we enjoyed it, but I found that I think the novelty of gaming, because that got taken away, the social aspect taken away, and that was my only way to game. And I thought, this is new. Well, look at it. You can get all the games online. Isn't this amazing? And then I think quickly it just dissipated, because it's like, this is just not the same for me. It just doesn't give me this. It doesn't scratch the same itch. It's just,
I guess it's good in a pinch, isn't it?
It's fiddly, and it's just.
If you're a gaming group ended up splitting up and going across the country or whatever, and you still wanted to continue gaming, I think this is an amazing platform for it. Or, you've got family across in America and your big gaming family, or, wherever they've gone to.
Place for it completely.
Absolutely a place for it. I think if I have the option of gaming across a physical table, I will pick that 100% over Tabletop Simulator. So I think it has its place. I think we can all agree it maybe wasn't for us.
There we go.
Yeah, it depends on your reason for wanting to play board games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The social interaction and the cute little pieces and the tokens, the tactility of it. That's it. That's really important for me.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be able to repeat that.
Never. Cool. Well, thanks, Stuart. Like always, get your questions into the pod. We'll always try and answer them. And away we go. So now we reach the penultimate turn where we talk about what's coming up. What are you excited about? What's happening? I'm going to go first this time. Obviously, I mentioned at the start of the episode, Perseverance has arrived. It's taken over my gaming room / dining room. So we've got a sneaky game of that coming up on Friday. Where we'll probably just play episode 1, might play it a couple of times because it's a Friday night and we'll see. So I'm looking forward to just getting that out and seeing how it kind of fares. But actually, Food Chain Magnate, I forgot this was even...
You've stolen mine.
Did I? Oh, no.
But you go for it.
No, it's all right.
I'll pick another one as well.
It's fine. But yeah, Food Chain Magnate is coming up next week. And for those who haven't heard of it, it's a Splotter spell and published game, which is a Dutch publisher, right?
No idea. All I know is that they have pretty much a motto that says if you can't lose the game in the first turn, what's the point of having a first turn?
They are the gamer's game, but they don't look the best. They're very functional, but they've always been held in high regard. And I've treated this as an experiment. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I've heard lots of good things about Food Chain Magnate. So for those that haven't heard of it, they're essentially 1950s, 1960s fast food restaurant entrepreneurs. And you essentially are building your company structure from the CEO, which is you, all the way down to management, cooks, and all the different things, deliveries. And you are trying to make lots of money in corporate fast food America and trying to make your other partners go out of business, really. And it's just got some really kind of cool, unique ways that you can market like burgers and hot dogs and flood the market with demand that some of the other people can't fulfill. And it's interesting. And I'm looking forward to giving it a go. It might be that I hated it, getting rid of it, but I'm up for the experiment. No.
If you don't try, I don't know. It sounds like it's going to make me want to eat burgers, if I'm honest.
Yeah, possibly. More than likely.
But that's me. I'm looking forward to those two.
That pretty much summarises how I feel. I've never played a Splotter game before. Absolutely want to give one a try. It may be my favourite thing ever. I may hate it instantly.
I don't know.
I genuinely don't know, but it's been on the list for a little while of any of the Splotter games pretty much that get good reviews. So I'm really intrigued to see how it goes. Every time I read a review or see something on Facebook, everyone has a laugh about, that time when you flooded the market full of people wanting burgers and you couldn't fulfill it and therefore you lost the game and stuff like that. And you're just thinking, that's not how things work, surely. But game mechanics and what they are, I'm really looking forward to that one. And then hopefully we have It's a Wonderful World coming up. I've spoken about it before. It's an absolute favourite of mine. I'll continue talking about it probably for quite a while yet to come. I'm looking forward to seeing how the other guys find it. So far I've been pretty lucky and the people I've showed it to have really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that you guys will as well for those that are playing it.
Sure we will. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting on that one.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Becky?
Well, I want to play Wingspan with my new little meeples.
Of course, you've invested the components now. You've got to get them out.
Yeah. I want to do some board game artwork for my wall. That's not very exciting with regards to it's a new game or anything.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about?
Yeah, that is what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, just redoing the kitchen and the board game area. So I thought it'd be really nice to have some, I think we decided on 8 of our top board games. I'm going to, make some kind of montage, board game montage, homage.
A homage to board game montage.
Yeah. So we'll see what that looks like.
No, that's cool. I mean, if anyone I'm sure has picked up, Becky is the probably the craftiest person, but in both sense of the words. No, you love your crafting, don't you? You love getting tinkering with things,
making, fabricating, physically making, not just kind of. I'm not an artist kind of a person, but I can use software. That's fine. That's all you need to do. Don't need to draw. That's fine.
So basically, the type of person that you go around the house and it's Christmas, and then you walk away with a suitcase tag that's Marvel all over it. And it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, nice.
We didn't. Adrian, I'll make you one, otherwise you'll feel left out.
I was very new to the group at that point. I won't take offence.
You don't like it?
I still have some of the fabric. I will make it.
That's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
Great stuff. So yeah, that's where we are, and we've reached the time. We've got there in the end, and as usual, when I pack my games away, guys, as you well know, is that
you can't leave the door. You must help us.
No, you help, but you collate the components. But you don't pack it away, because I do that, and that's because I've got massive OCD and I can't sleep if I know that one of my little tokens isn't in its right home.
I can't mock you, mate. I feel the same about it.
Don't ever go to a board game cafe.
Oh no, that would stress me out, that would. Yeah. But there we go. Cool. So now, if you want to get engaged with us, as always, you've got options. We seem to be creating more and more options as we go, but we've got an email address. So get us on players@whosturn.co.uk, or check out our Facebook page, Whose Turn Is It Anyway Podcast, or we're on Instagram at Whose Turn Podcast, and also TikTok for Whose Turn Is It Anyway. So we'll be back again in another 2 weeks for another episode. So until then, whose turn is it?